The 2018 BMW M550i xDrive. BMW markets the 5 Series as the world's most successful business sedan, and considering it's been around since 1972, there's some merit to that. For the 2017 model year, the 5 Series entered its 7th generation, bringing a new design inside and out. A mild weight decreases thanks to CFRP technology derived from that of the 7 Series, a drag coefficient of just 0.22 CD, a new 10.25-inch iDrive display, and an updated HUD that covers 70% more space than that of the outgoing model. BMW has yet to release official output numbers, but a mild increase in performance across the range is expected. BMW hasn't even opened the order books yet, but that hasn't stopped it from announcing the first ever M performance version of the 5 Series. Dubbed the M550 xDrive, it comes complete with a 4.4-liter V8 that produces 456 horsepower to go with a rear-wheel biased AWD system and an M performance chassis. So, the ink isn't even dry on the drawing board, and Bimmer is already growing its lineup of 5 Series models. This M550i will be the first M Performance model to us an M Performance modified V8 and can be equipped with a handful of driver assistance systems. On the competition front, the standard 5 Series competes against models like the Audi A6, Infiniti Q70, and even the Cadillac CTS. But, do any of these competitors have a model that can actually compete with the new M550i? Well, we won't know for sure until we get to see the M550i in the metal, but we can certainly look at how they all compare on paper. With that said, let's get to it and see all of what the M550i has to offer. Continue reading to learn more about the BMW M550i xDrive. Exterior. As is the case with all M Sport models, the M550i won't be a massive departure from its non-M Sport brethren. That doesn't mean that it's not without its merits, though. There is an M Performance aerodynamic kit, which pretty much means it gets a tiny spoiler on the rear decklid to go with those sharp the M Performance accents on the front corner air intakes. These accents, along with the grille surround, mirror caps, and the fins on the fender breathers are all finished in cerium gray metallic. The trim around the windows, which is usually chrome, has been finished in high-gloss shadow line trim. Around back you'll find that the M Sport exhaust system includes gloss black tips, a feature that isn't available on the standard 5 Series. If looks are what gets your pistons firing, the 5 Series is the racing fuel that you need for a clean burn. Of course, let's not get things twisted, the 5 Series was beautiful in standard configuration, so these minor M Sport additions are really just icing on the cake. To put things simply, the 7th gen model brought about the most modern and aggressive looks that the 5 Series has ever had. Shifting away from a wide-mouth air dam, the new model brought an aggressive fascia that has a look comparable to that of other models. The kidney grills also evolved a little and now feature a wider surround, and the headlights got an updated look as well. The side profile becomes more sculpted, bringing air outlets on the front fender to go with a dynamic lower body line that really accents the most aggressive side skirts ever seen on the 5 Series, at least from the factory anyway. To the rear, the new 5 Series upped the ante even more with a more aggressive rear fascia that includes sculpted corners that flank the aggressive corner protrusions that loosely mirror the front air intakes. The corner reflectors became smaller and were recessed into the now taller rear fascia insert. The insert itself features a sharp line that runs full width to go with a smaller protrusion below the exhaust outlets. BMW also shifted from round exhaust outlets to rectangular units that look 10 times better than before. The rear decklid was redefined, but while the taillights carried on with a similar shape and layout that is just a little sleeker. All told, if looks are what gets your pistons firing, the 5 Series is the racing fuel that you need for a clean burn. The competition. When you consider the fact that the 5 Series in standard form competes with the Audi A6, then it's only fair that we compare the M550i to the Audi S6. The S6 has been around for a while but entered a new generation for the 2013 model year. When 2016 came around, the S6 took on a mild refresh but remained largely unchanged on the outside. Compared to the A6, the S6 takes on front and rear fascia that are slightly more aggressive, but outside of a different set of wheels, that's really all that sets the S6 apart from the A6. The corner air intakes are more sculpted and feature a circular protrusion in the middle that appears to float on a single horizontal louver. The side profile is fairly sculpted, as is the rear, but as far as aggressiveness goes, the M550i will win this throwdown any day. Unless you like the simplicity of Audi's design, then maybe you'll want to consider the Audi. If you're thinking of maybe considering something that isn't German, then look no farther than the Infiniti Q70. While Infiniti hasn't done anything special with any trim level of the Q70, it does have a trim level that competes pretty well with the M550i. The trim is the Q75.6, which, as you may have figured by the name, comes with a 5.6-liter V8 under the hood, but we'll talk more about that later. On the outside, the Q70 kind of falls in the middle between the M550i and the S6. It has more of a rounded design with a greenhouse that sits a little farther back. It is also more bubbly than the other models in this niche, with tall front fenders that are round but feature a sculpted defining line on top. The front end is even more rounded than the competition, with 90% of the design featuring some kind of curve to it. To the sides, it's nowhere near as aggressive as the M550i, but it does have some gentle body lines that give it a very smooth look. The rear wheel arches curve slightly and give the car a muscular appearance in the rear. All told, if you don't mind the bubbly look of the Q70, you really can't go wrong with it. If you're considering a BMW, then you're probably considering a Mercedes as well. You can't think about owning one without at least looking at the other. In this niche, it's the Mercedes E-Class that brings a fight to the table, but not all cars are created equal. The model to really compete with the M550i would be the Mercedes-AMG E43 sedan. It falls short on the power front, but as far as looks go, it sure does give the M550i a run for its money. It has that AMG grille that you can't ignore, and down below it has an aggressive front fascia that is quite similar to that of the M550i. Large air intakes are flanked on their inner sides by sharp curved lines that create an air dam in the middle. The side profile, on the other hand, is relatively boring, but there is a sharp body line that runs on just below the waistline. Around back, the taillights are high gloss in nature and are integrated into the rear quarters almost seamlessly, while the rear fascia has a few gentle lines to give the rear end a little more character. Like the M550i, the rear deck lid features a tiny spoiler to increase the car's overall sporty appearance. In the end, you really can't go wrong in the looks department regardless of which model you favor. The M550i and E43 are more aggressive, while the Q70 offers up a bubbly appearance. The S6 is the most boring of them all, but still provides a dominating look that stands out in a crowd, well, as long as there isn't a 5 Series or E-Class anywhere near. Interior. When BMW redesigned the 5 Series, it looks to the 7 Series for inspiration. As such, the 5 Series has a lot of the 7's exquisite DNA. For instance, the center stack is nearly identical, save for the integration of the center HVAC vents, while the dashboard was redesigned to make the cabin a little larger with more than an extra inch of knee and legroom up front. The center console got a revised storage area ahead of the cup holders that can be optioned with a wireless phone charging system. Sport seats come standard in the 5 Series and feature 16-way electrical adjustability. A 10.25-inch touchscreen has replaced the outgoing display unit and provides features like navigation, phone connectivity, and the control of certain vehicle functions. You can even get the same gesture control system found in the 7 Series if you're willing to pony up the extra dough. A HUD system with an 800x400 resolution allows the driver to get navigation with real-time traffic alerts on the windshield, while there's also a Wi-Fi hotspot and Apple CarPlay connectivity. The 5 Series has a lot of the 7's exquisite DNA. In the case of the M550i, M Sport threw out the standard sport seats and replaced them with the option multi-contour seats that are optional on other 5 Series models. Upholstery comes standard in black Dakota leather with blue contrast stitching, but Napa leather upholstery can be had at a premium. The steering wheel has been replaced by the latest iteration of M Sport's wheel, while M Design floor mats and pedals provide just the right amount of aluminum accenting. Finally, the door sills are illuminated with an inscription that reads M550i xDrive, so that anyone entering knows that you have the best 5 Series available. On the safety side of things, you can option for things like BIMmer's Active Driving Assistant Plus, Active Cruise Control, Evasion Aid, and Active Lane Keep Assist. As far as trim goes, the 5 Series can be had with a number of different wooden inserts that brings it up to par with models like the Q70 and E-Class. The competition. When Audi updated the S6, it left the interior pretty much unchanged with the exception of some new interior color options. But that doesn't mean that the S6 cabin isn't noteworthy in its own regard. To start off, the interior of the S6 gets a 3-spoke flat-bottom steering wheel that features an S6 badge as well as a handful of thumb buttons to control various interior features. The seats have a very sport appearance that includes cross-stitched center inserts and high-sitting bolsters top and bottom that really provide some of the best support you can find in this niche. On the technology front, the S6 gets a heads-up display, floating infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity. It doesn't yet have Audi's virtual cockpit as standard equipment, but there is a standard TFT display between the tachometer and speedometer. The S6 comes standard with Audi's MMI Navigation Plus that also features voice control. Safety features include Audi Pre-Sense Plus with side assist and adaptive cruise control. A choice of wooden or carbon fiber inlays help to round out the interior package. Looking at the Q70, you'll find a driver-oriented cockpit with leather just about everywhere and a very unique stitching design on the seats. There isn't a flat-bottom steering wheel like you see on the German competitors, but ahead of the wheel, you'll find a 2-gauge cluster that features blue backlighting and a dual-pod pad on top. The center console and center stack are loaded with wooden inserts with various controls positioned in all of the right places. The infotainment display is recessed into the center stack, so if you don't like the floating displays found in German vehicles, the interior of the Q70 will make you happy. The interior can be had in various 3-tone configurations. On the technology front, you'll find 10-way power heated front seats, dual-zone climate control, Infiniti Intelligent Key, a rear-view monitor, and Sirius XM radio to go with a 7-inch infotainment display. It's not a bad setup and is a breath of fresh air if you're tired of the same old German designs. If you want a modern look, then you'll seriously want to consider the new Mercedes-AMG E43. Inside, you'll find sport seats that are wrapped in either MB Text Dinamica or optional Nappa leather. They offer improved lateral support but are nowhere near as supportive as the seats found in the S6, for example. There's a flat-bottom steering wheel that's wrapped in black Nappa leather with red stitching. The instrument cluster can be optioned as a fully digital unit that has a more dynamic and futuristic layout, while the infotainment display, like the optional instrument cluster, is also 12.3 inches. With both 12.3-inch screens, there's more screen than dash. Various color options are available to suit just about any desire you might have, while the command system comes with hard drive-based navigation and 3 years of map updates. Like the M550i, the E43 comes with voice control but also has a Burmester premium sound system and gives you to use your smartphone as a key fob with near-field communication technology. All told, it's really tough to pick from either of these models, but if you're looking for lots of wooden inlays, you'll really like the Q70. If you want a more modern appearance, the E43 has your back. The S6 is really set up more for spirited driving, so if you plan to go hard from time to time, you'll benefit from its very supportive seats. Finally, the M550i has that traditional German feel, the floating infotainment system, and just the right amount of soft touch and wooden inserts. Pick your poison, you really can't go wrong either way. Drivetrain. The 5 Series is expected to come with a mild power increase across the board, regardless of the model. But, BMW has yet to release output figures for any of the US market engines, until now. As it turns out, the M550i will use a 4.4-liter V8 just like the last-gen 550i. But, BIMmer says the M550i will benefit from 456 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. The engine makes use of 2 twin-scroll turbochargers and a high-precision fuel injection system. There's also the Valvetronic variable valve system and double Vanos camshaft timing control. According to BMW, the M550i will hit 60 miles per hour in 4 seconds on the way to a limited top speed of 155 miles per hour. Shifting duties are handled by a specially tuned, Steptronic, 8-speed transmission. The transmission will shift on its own or can be controlled by the paddle shifters attached to the back side of the steering wheel. Bimmer says the M550i will benefit from 456 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. Power is sent to all four wheels via BMW's xDrive all-wheel drive system. But power delivery is intelligent, so power is distributed as needed while the delivery is rear-biased to keep that sporty feel of rear-wheel drive. The body sits atop an M Sport suspension system that lets the body sit 10 mm or 0.393 inches lower than the standard 5 Series. The system is adaptive, which means you should get the best ride quality available regardless of conditions, while body roll is limited during spirited driving. The standard shoes on this baby come in the form of 19-inch M-Light alloy wheels that are finished in cerium gray metallic matte, but if you want something a little bigger, you can shell out some extra cheddar for the 20-inch wheels with an exclusive design that are finished in the same color. Competing performance. Here's where things really get juicy. With the M550i boasting 445 horsepower and 480 pound-feet, it boasts some pretty strong competition in this niche. Let's start out by comparing it to the Audi S6. It makes use of a 4.0-liter V8 that delivers a comparable 450 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. With an aluminum alloy cylinder block and cylinder head, the engine is lighter than some, but that 32-valve system doesn't provide the same performance that you'll get with the M550i. All told, the S6 can hit 60 miles per hour in 4.4 seconds, 0.4 seconds more than the M550i, and tops out at a German 155 miles per hour. Power is delivered to all four wheels via a 7-speed S-tronic transmission and Audi's amazing Quattro all-wheel drive system. Supporting the ride quality, you'll find Audi's adaptive air suspension with S-specific tuning for fun and productive spirited driving, while the car's overall drag coefficient is 0.29. Next in line is the Q70, which is actually a bit underpowered compared to the M550i. Obviously, the closest competitor is the Q70 which comes with a 5.6-liter V8 that delivers 420 horsepower and 417 pound-feet of torque. Shifting duties come by means of a 7-speed auto with adaptive shift control and manual shift mode. Rear-wheel drive is standard, however, you can go with all-wheel drive for a premium. Infiniti hasn't made finding official performance specs easy, but some sources indicate a 0 to 60 mph time of 4.8 seconds and a quarter-mile time of 13.5 seconds. Supporting the ride is a double wishbone system with dual piston shocks up front and a multi-link system with dual piston shocks in the rear. When it comes to power, nothing in the E-Series from Mercedes can really compete. The Mercedes-AMG E63, for example, has too much power and a much higher price tag. Meanwhile, the E43 is the closest competitor but is significantly underpowered in comparison to the M550i. Powered by a 3.0-liter V6, it comes with just 396 horsepower and 384 pound-feet of torque. With a curb weight of 4,145 pounds, it's enough to get the E43 up to 60 miles per hour in 4.5 seconds. So, it's not exactly a slouch, but the M550i will beat it out any day. Top speed is limited to 155 miles per hour. Shifting duties are handled by an AMG-enhanced 9-speed automatic, and power is routed to all four wheels via Merck's 4MATIC all-wheel drive system. All told, the M550i is the fastest out of them all, so if power and speed are what you want, the M550i will definitely make you a happy camper. None of the other models are exactly slow, but if you want a V8, you'll want to avoid the Mercedes. The Q70 is also a bit outdated as far as engine size and output goes, so if you're thinking about going with Nissan's luxury arm, you might want to wait until the Q70 is updated to the next generation. Pricing. Pricing for the M550 xDrive starts from $73,900, which makes it the second most expensive 5 Series after the M5. The sedan costs around $20,000 more than the base 530i, but it's also almost $30,000 less expensive than the full-blown M5. The M550 xDrive is actually a bit more affordable than we expected it to be, as our initial predictions were around the $77,000 mark. As far as the competition goes, you can pick up the current Q70 5.6 for $63,150 with two-wheel drive or $65,700 with all-wheel drive. The Audi S6, on the other hand, starts out at $70,900 but can go if you go with the Prestige trim, you'll be asked to pony up $74,100. If decided to suck it up and go with a little less power, the Mercedes dealership will hook you up with a Mercedes-AMG E43 for a starting price of $72,400. All told, the M550i is one of the most expensive vehicles of the bunch, but offers the best performance, so in the end, you get what you pay for. Other options: Cadillac Cts-V Sport Premium. When it comes to the M550i, there isn't really any other model that competes in this niche, but you could look to the Cadillac CTS sedan as a different option. For a Cadillac, the CTS is fairly aggressive and pleasing to look at. Inside, it's luxurious and spacious. To really compete against the M550i, however, you need to look to the Cts-V Sport Premium with its twin turbocharged 3.6-liter V6. It comes with 420 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. Independent testing shows that it can hit 60 miles per hour in 5.1 seconds and can hit the quarter mile in 13.3 seconds at 106.3 miles per hour. It's a bit slower than the M550i, but it's pretty damn luxurious and will still be fairly cheaper than the M550i at $71,425. Of course, if you really want to beat out all of the competition, you can jump into the Cts-V with a 6.2-liter V8 that has 640 horsepower and 630 pound-feet of torque. That baby will get you to 60 miles per hour in 3.7 seconds on the way to a 200 miles per hour top speed. Take that, Germany. It is, of course, a little more expensive, but at a starting price of $85,595, it's not too much of a premium for all of that extra performance and more aggressive looks. Read more about the Cadillac Cts-V Sport Premium here. Conclusion. One could argue that BMW has the perfect recipe here. The new 5 Series is based on its bigger brother, so it has all of those great features in a slightly smaller package. In regards to the M550i, its power output is on point and it offers better performance than any of the competition. Hopefully, BMW will keep the 5 Series below the $80,000 threshold, but if not, I know I would certainly pay a little more to take that Cadillac Cts-V home over the M550i at that point. In the end, it's really a matter of taste, but if you're into German vehicles and want decent bang for your buck, the M550i should quench your thirst. Love it. M Sport, need I say more? Decent power output, stylish. Leave it likely expensive.
If you liked this video, please share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.